Welcome, everybody, to Last Call at McLaren'S, the How I Met Your Mother podcast. I am Josh, here with my fellow mother lover, John. How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm doing excellent. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm here to talk about a great episode. Got to watch a lot of cool stuff earlier today, but that's not what we're here for.
For those of you who don't know, we are recording literally just like mere hours after the DC fandom event, which, obviously if you follow any of Josh's work, he works with DC Comics. So sure. Fandom was a huge thing for him today. Josh, why don't you briefly mention just a few of the big things today?
Well, we got a trailer for Black Adam. We got the Flash movie. We got the Batman.
The
Batman. We got some TV show stuff. We got a little look at what's to come with the Harley Quinn series. We got Young Justice, Peacemaker, Doom Patrol, Titans, all kinds of great stuff. Go over to DC Comics News, the YouTube channel there. I did a full live stream kind of breakdown after the event. It's got some good stuff. I showed some of the trailers on there, so if you missed them, you can see them there, as well as just finding them online. But yeah, definitely check that out. It's good stuff. Whole lot of great stuff going on. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about How I Met Your Mother. That's right. And we are on season 1.
Ever.
That's right. Season 1, episode 20, the best prom ever. John, what were your initial thoughts? Like going in, had you remembered what this episode was about?
I did remember this episode, but I remember something happening in the show that apparently didn't actually happen.
Okay.
I remember Barney sneaking through a window.
Well, he sneaks through a vent.
Yeah, but I remember him coming through like an actual window.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember that.
And I was like, I don't know. Apparently, I'm just going fucking mental or something.
I'm wondering if he does that in another episode.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Because, he likes to get in and out of a lot of places. Anywho.
You're not lying. But yeah, no, I remembered this episode pretty well. I didn't remember the song. I couldn't remember the song until I watched the episode. I knew why they were going after the 88th, though, and I remember the whole... It's funny. This is one of the few episodes I remember the A line, or the A story, the B story, and the C story.
Nice.
And I was just like, damn. I was like, okay, wow. It was for a very minute episode out of an entire season. It's one of the weird ones to remember.
That's true, but I think it has some really fun stuff in it. So,
well, it had some very fun stuff, and we'll get to the rest of it. But I know, not trying to go too far ahead already. But me and you had talked last episode about the wedge that started to get put between Marshall and Lily. And this one, this is the first real swing with the mallet. This is there's that wedge and there's that fucking hammer swing and bam, there it starts.
That's true. It definitely does. So, season 1, episode 20, best prom ever, originally aired on May 1st of 2006. Yeah. Obviously directed by the great Pamela Fryman. Written by Ira Ungerleider. This is the only episode that he wrote of How I Met Your Mother.
Oh,
but he did serve as a co-executive producer for several episodes in season 1. He was also a producer on the show Friends. And as a side note, he has a character in this episode that we will talk about when we get there. Yeah. Yeah. So you actually get to see his face in this episode.
So you said this came out May 1st,
yes.
2006.
Yes, sir.
You realize that means it was literally 4 days before my 22nd birthday.
Yeah, right before you had turned 22.
Damn, man. I was literally 8 years behind their age at this point.
Yeah, we were. But I still think it connected with us in a way because I feel like they still acted kind of immature a lot.
Which is probably though, but think about this. I didn't start watching this show until about season 3 or season 4, which
so
means
you were much closer to their age when you started watching it. Yeah.
So you think about that. That's one of the reasons why this show probably resonates so well with people like me and you.
Yeah.
It was a show about people our age. It wasn't just,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Crazy. Sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack there.
No, that's fine. I think that is definitely a big reason why it resonated with us as much as it did. All right, so the summary for this episode, the summary on the fandom wiki is very short. It does not give this episode the due that I think it deserves. It reads, the gang crashes a prom to see a band Lily and Marshall want to book for their wedding. And that's it.
Wow.
All it says, you know?
I mean, technically, that's a very true statement.
It is, but like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, I would have fleshed that out a little bit. I would have, you know, something like Lily and Marshall, you know, race to book, you know, the venue for their wedding, and then I would add stuff to that because, like, I don't know, that summary is just so small.
If I was going to summarize this episode, I would say Marshall and Lily venture to book a wedding band while the gang assists. What wacky adventures? I don't know. I got nothing.
I don't know, but it's. I think it's the shortest summary that we've had the entire season.
Yeah, so
honestly.
far.
So,
well, like I said, though, it's really weird though because I mean, it nails the point straight too. Like that's what the episode's about.
It is true.
It just happens to me. This is one of the very few episodes where the A, B, and C storyline are all in a line together. They're all accomplishing the same thing, but on a different platform.
Yeah. All right, so the episode opens with Marshall and Lily rushing down the street. Future Ted tells us that there has been a big development in their wedding planning. The Van Smoot house has become available 2 months from now, and however, there is another couple racing with a deposit. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the show, you may recognize the name Van Smoot for a couple of reasons. One, you may remember the season 5 episode Robots versus Wrestlers, where they attend the Van Smoot party. Yep. I think it was like Jeffrey Van Smoot or Jefferson Van Smoot or something like that.
Something like that.
And then the captain, whose last name is Van Smoot.
Oh, yeah.
It's George the Captain Van Smoot.
Well, it's really obvious. Funny. The season 5 episode is where we get introduced to the lady who used to live in the apartment with Ramel.
Yeah.
And
Miranda Heller or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And it's one of my favorite episodes because of the joke. Willem Dafoe.
That's a great one. So it's obvious this Van Smoot thing it runs throughout their lives. It's really interesting to think about how connected the gang is to the captain really throughout the show.
Without even realizing it.
All the Van Smoot stuff, the pineapple incident, which we talked about it in the episode. We find out in season 9 in a deleted scene that the pineapple was stolen from the porch of the captain's place.
I really wish they would make it canonical.
Yeah.
Because he's never been recognized as like officially part of the show. It's like its own standalone deleted scene, which until it's actually recognized, it doesn't count. But I would love for Josh Radnor to just like essentially refilm it on his own in character.
That would be hilarious.
And he's like, let me tell you guys about this time. And like he's obviously narrating it to like 2 random people. And he's like, I told my kids this story once, but let me tell you guys.
He's just like on a park bench talking to strangers.
He's fucking like homeless. And he's like, hey, you guys want me to tell you a story? Tell you a story for a couple bucks.
That'd be hilarious. But yeah, Van Smoot, man, running throughout. I'm curious if like the Van Smoot house thing here, if it was just a throwaway and they decided let's take that name and bring it back. You know what I mean?
Maybe
because it was 5 seasons. As far as I know, it's not used in any of the other seasons. It's possible. Maybe we'll run into it in one of the other seasons, but as far as I know, it doesn't come back until season 5. So
I bet you I'll keep my ear to the ground for it now.
Oh, absolutely. So after a moment of hesitation, Lily decides that they need to get this place. She runs out of her classroom, telling her kids just to color.
Just to color.
She is a terrible teacher.
Horrible teacher, dude.
We learned recently that she naps when her kids nap. Like she would just go to sleep as her kids are sleeping in the classroom. And now this just taking off and leaving her kids there unattended. I'm just like, wow, she's a terrible teacher. Terrible. Really needed to not be doing that anymore. I never thought about that. Like any of the other times I've watched the show, Never thought about it. Like, holy shit. Yeah, no, she is a terrible teacher.
I mean, that's besides the fact that like a kindergartner got to like first base with her, and like
it's true. And she's always like letting Marshall come into the classroom and do what just like randomly. It's
Mr.
like
Funny Butt.
Yeah, they learned what a fiance was. It's like, okay, why was he there? Like, I don't understand what the point was. But yeah. So as they're racing to book the Van Smoot house, they run into their competition, Todd and Valerie. And they wind up in the elevator together.
They do.
I love what they do here. Because I was like, I'm pretty sure I know what they do. And I'm like, but if not, I'll be really bummed if they don't do the thing I think that they do. And they do. Marshall tells Lily that they're going to take the stairs. And Lily just hits all the fucking buttons on the elevator. It runs out before they can get out of the elevator. Yeah. Which was hilarious. It's funny because I've seen that trick done in other shows and movies, right? And a lot of times, like, they do it, right? And then they run up the stairs. And then the people who are on the elevator still wind up getting off the elevator the same time they get out of the stairs. That's like a trope that you see a lot. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm glad they didn't do that. Because, like, no offense, but if it's up several flights, they're probably not going to make it before you do.
You know what the sad part is, though? We never see Todd and Valerie again.
That's true.
Because
why is that,
John?
They
probably fucking killed themselves.
That's right. They could not.
Or he killed her, or she killed him. I mean, it is the Van Smoot house.
It is. And that's probably because they did not get the Van Smoot house. This tactic worked, and Lily and Marshall officially got their wedding venue. However, like I said before, they have to get married in 2 months now. You know, they were not planning for that. You know, Lily is a little freaked out about it. We're at the bar, and they're kind of telling the others about what happened. And you can see, like, Lily, she's acting like she's happy, but you can also tell she's really freaked out about all this, having to get married in 2 months.
Plan a wedding in 2 months.
Yeah, man.
Like,
I get it. So she decides she's going to divide up some tasks. It gets really awkward because she pairs Ted and Robin together for a task. It's like, what were, like, obviously they have not made up at this point, even though they're both at the bar together. In the previous episode, like, they hadn't even been hanging out at all. They hadn't even seen each other for a while. So I thought it was a little weird, but
I love Barney's reaction to this, where he's like, wow, Will, that was very awkward.
Right? Because you could feel the tension in the scene. It was real weird and real awkward. So then we get back to the apartment. Lily is passed out on the coffee table as Ted and Marshall walk in the door with a bunch of little boxes. We later on learn that those are their wedding invitations. And then Marshall startles her awake, and she instantly proclaims that they forgot to get a band. But Marshall, he plays it cool. He says, don't worry. He's got it covered. He already booked a great wedding band called the 88. And Ted even vouches for him. And I think it would have been hilarious if Ted had instead tried to convince them to get a DJ.
And, you know, that came to my mind when I was watching this, that I'm like, wow, this is the one time Ted's not like, oh, you need a DJ.
Yeah, man. Like, that was his whole thing.
I thought it would have been really funny if, like, he would have, like, if Marshall also would have listed off a couple bands. Like, you know, like, oh, I really know this great band called the 88. Or, you know, I have because, no, it wouldn't have been this early yet. Never mind.
Okay.
I withdraw my comment.
Comment withdrawn.
Lawyer.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I thought it was really weird, though, that Ted didn't recommend a DJ either. Because I'm like, he's so gung-ho about it later on.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that they hadn't created that part of his personality yet.
That's true. I mean, it is the first season, so.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of stuff like that in the first season.
Maybe Ted just hasn't gotten there yet.
Maybe this experience drove him away from a band. This is the whole catalyst for it.
This is a pretty fucking big catalyst.
It's true. So, as we mentioned, the band is called the 88s. I have a little info on the 88s. The 88 are an actual real band, and they've had their music featured in the show several times, including in an episode that we've already covered, Belly Full of Turkey. one of their songs was in that. They also did the opening theme song to a show that you and I both have seen and both have enjoyed, Community. That is the 88 doing that song.
Oh, no shit.
For the opening theme of Community. Yep. So yeah, man, you can they're on like Spotify and shit. You can get their music there and
check that out.
I thought that was really cool because like the songs, other than the Violent Femme song that they play, the other songs that they play are their own music, their own original music that they're playing.
That's
I thought that was really cool. Let's see, we've got Lily hesitant about the band. She has not seen them. I think at this point she's just being so freaked out because I feel like on a normal circumstance she would trust Marshall's decision making skills in that.
Yeah, he has a pretty good stamp of approval rating.
Yeah, and I think she's just so freaked out that's why she's like, I need to hear him play. So they decide to kind of see if they're playing anywhere nearby.
You know what I just realized though? Ted's a piggyback stamper still in this episode.
He is.
Because Marshall's like, oh, you know, I know this really great band we should book. They're called the 88. And Ted's like, yeah, I can vouch for that.
Yep.
Fucking piggybacker.
He totally is a piggyback stamper all the way through.
I was just thinking about the piggyback stamper, and I was like, ah.
That's great. That's a great catch, too, because I hadn't thought about that, but it's so true. So true. So as Marshall goes off to kind of look up where these guys may be playing nearby, Barney walks in and makes his joke about tasting an amazing caterer, but not her food.
No.
Nope.
And I love the subtle nuance to the joke. Yeah. I just tasted a great caterer, and Lily's like, we already got one of those.
He's
and,
like, oh, yeah, you're getting married.
That's right, you're getting married. And high fives Ted.
Yep. It's such a good low-key sex joke. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like an offensive joke. It's just a sex joke. But it was real. Like he didn't have to. Like, yeah, I ate out a caterer. You know, yeah, you know what I did. No, he just left it at that. Gave a high five and moved on. I thought it was a perfect example of the types of jokes that
more Barney jokes be written like that.
I know, right?
Sometimes the basic nuance of just that delivery is amazing itself.
Absolutely.
Probably so is the caterer's, food.
Probably. Marshall reveals that the 88 are playing at a high school prom in New Jersey, and they call to see if they can go, but they are told no. Now, here's another thing I wish, because again, it's season 1. They haven't formed a lot of stuff yet. I really kind of wish we'd gotten like some anti-New Jersey talk, because in later episodes they bash the shit out of New Jersey all the time. True.
They do,
and you don't even even if it's just oh man, New Jersey, we had to go there.
We would have to go to New Jersey to see these guys, and he's like, but it's for the wedding.
Yeah, and something like that would have been great. Unfortunately, we did not get that.
And I mean, had this been a later season, you're right. It probably would have been there. But yeah. Season 1.
Yeah. So, like I said, they were told no, that they could not attend because they're not students. Barney suggests sneaking in, and Lily agrees. Marshall real surprised by that. So I think Ted was also surprised because it's Barney. Again, it's an idea from Barney.
And I love where this goes with this one because we got another little Barney quip right here.
Yeah.
Because Lily's like, at this point, I'm willing to do almost anything. And Barney's like, well, hey. And she goes, no.
Yeah. Shoots him right down.
I'm just like, that is another, subtle, just well, hey, I mean, we're here. And she's like, no.
Yep. And he just drops it. And I like it. He gets his little things in there. And then, his little things. Back at the bar, the gang is discussing their plan. Robin agrees to go with Lily and Barney to the prom, and Ted suggests that they all go. It's like, why don't we all go? Robin instantly shoots that down, saying that it may be harder to get more people in, and that's just an excuse. She just doesn't want him there.
I mean, she's not wrong, though, at the same time.
No, she's not wrong, and I even wrote this. I was like, she's right, but that wasn't actually why she's saying
it. Yeah, no, and it's not, and that's kind of...
Yeah.
I'm
So
50-50 on this because I'm like,
yeah.
I get Lily and Robin going. Those
And I
two
think that's why Ted didn't like take issue with her saying it. Because I think in his mind, he's like, yeah, she's right. Okay. And moved on.
Yeah.
He didn't take it as, oh, she just doesn't want me to go.
No.
You know? So it worked out for her because it kept her like, it kept what she was trying to do undercover.
True statement.
Yeah. So Ted and Marshall decide they're going to have a guys' night. That's right.
Guys' night.
Yeah. So we head back to the apartment. The girls are showing Barney their dresses. He says they're lame and tells them to slut up.
Yeah.
So I thought that was
the dresses
great
were nice, but I mean, it's definitely not, prom worthy.
Yeah. I thought it was a great variation on the suit up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. I thought that was clever. Slut up. So then we see Lily and Robin kind of like searching through Lily's closet for some more slutty clothes. And then Lily finds her old prom dress and it triggers a flashback. We get Lily and her high school boyfriend Scooter. They are at prom dancing. He's telling her how beautiful she is, all this stuff. He tells her that he got into umpire school. Does that ever come back in the show?
Yep.
Like later on?
Yeah.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah. He talks about umpire school all the time.
Oh, okay.
That was one of the big things.
For some reason, I'm like, I didn't remember umpire school. I don't know why.
It's two of the things I know about him. He wanted to go to umpire school, and he had the thing for Lily. And
I'll probably anytime he pops up, I'll probably be like, oh shit, he is talking about umpire.
One of the big things that I noticed with this scene, by the way, and I thought this was really well done. So we know that this show right now is happening in like 05, 06. Like, you know, it happens in like that time frame.
For them, it is 06 right now because we already went through the
05
the New Year's episode.
Yeah. So they do this flashback to prom where Lily and them are in like high school. And I don't know if you're paying attention enough, but they show her dancing with Scooter. And are you listening to the song playing overhead?
Yeah, it's Freshman, right?
Yep, Freshman by The Verve.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit. They fucking timepiece that amazingly. Yeah. They could have blasted any random song to play at a prom. But I'm like, wow. But it's also such a sad song because it's talking about how, this is why I'm bringing this up, it doesn't last.
It's true. That's a good point. That's a good point.
And it's kind of a prelude. She's declaring, I'm getting a little out of myself, but she pretty much is declaring that her and Scooter are done. And she's because, things are too set in stone. She can't handle this and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And again, there's the mirror image of her and Marshall.
I mean, even in this scene, you can tell she's not really into him that much.
I mean,
like he's into her.
Every time she sees him, she pretty much says she's not into him.
That's true, but like you can really, and it's confirmed a bit more later on.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I got a little side note here. Scooter, played by David Burtka, who is the husband of Neil Patrick Harris. This is his first time on the show, and it marks the last of the 3 significant others to appear on the show. I didn't realize all 3 of them came in the first season.
I don't think I realized that either.
Like we already saw Blauman. We obviously just saw Sandy Rivers.
Oh yeah.
Now we got Scooter, all in season 1. I'm like, holy shit! They all
now are they all with their significant others when the show was going?
I'm pretty sure. I know at least. I know that Robin and Blauman were together. I know that Lily and Sandy were together. I'm not 100% sure if Neil and his husband were together at this time or not.
Interesting.
But I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if that's why they wound up on the show. But I just didn't realize that they all came in season 1.
No. I don't think I realized that they all came in season 1 either.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So then we go back to the present. Lily, Robin, and Barney they're all ready to go. Marshall takes a picture of them. Then, because it's prom, you got to take a picture. Then Barney gives both girls a corsage. Robin gets a bit teary-eyed because she's never done prom before.
No.
She's always done, was it field hockey, I think she talked about?
Yeah.
Which I think is funny because in future episodes, she makes a comment that she wasn't allowed to do sports in high school.
Yeah.
But then they also show her doing like hockey stuff, like actual hockey.
That is true.
At another point. So there's a few contradictions with her. Between her and sports in her youth.
Also, I'm going to go back to the whole dated reference on this thing. Marshall takes a picture with a camera.
Yeah, as opposed to like a phone.
Yeah, because phones didn't really have cameras at this point.
It was like an actual camera.
Yeah, like they're just getting into the Motorola Razr phase at this point of the show. Because like they showed how Ted had got
the iPhone hadn't even come out. Like the first iPhone hadn't even come out yet. None of that stuff. Yeah.
Nope. Cell phones were just starting to get cameras, and they weren't good enough to take a decent picture of like you wanted a camera.
You still had to rock an actual like camera.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
I remember that.
Think about how convenient it is for you to be able to take a camera and instantly post a picture on.
I still have my digital camera, like my little silver digital.
Yeah, but I don't even think his is digital. I think it's a freaking film.
Oh, it might be. Yeah.
Like I would have to watch the episode again to see, but I'm 95% sure it was a film camera.
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. So after they leave, Ted and Marshall get ready for guys' night, but Marshall says that they have a bunch of invitations that they have to stuff because he promised Lily that they'd do that first and suggests making a drinking game out of it to make it fun. So then we jump to Lily, Robin, and Barney outside of the prom. They try to get in unsuccessfully, and this is where we see a guy, it's the chaperone, who tells them no, that they can't go in. His name is Mr. Corker, and he is played by the writer of this episode, Ira Ungerleider.
Nice.
Yeah, so this is where we get to see him.
Nice.
He is that chaperone with like the glasses and the shaggy hair that is telling them no, that they cannot go in there. I thought that was really kind of really cool. He put himself in the episode.
So there's a couple things I have issues with in this scene, and we'll start here. So they get turned away at the door.
Yeah.
And instantly, Barney goes to hatch a secondary plan, which is very Barney-like. And then Lily and Robin are like, let us go find a couple of loser boys to sneak in with.
Yeah.
Now, you've been to high school, I've been to high school, and most everybody watching this is, or listening, has been to high school. We know how prom works. You don't buy a singles ticket and get to all of a sudden sneak a fucking +1 in that door. And two...
well, you have to ask yourself the question, do all schools have to have tickets?
You would think
I don't know. Because you never see tickets in TV and movies. Ever.
That's true. Yeah. Also, though, so Lily and Robin just got turned away, and then they're going to walk in with 2 high school students, though?
Yeah, because he's like, you have to be a student or the date of a student. And then they just go get dates. And the guy's like, well, I guess they got dates. I mean, I can do about it.
Like they walk up, and Robin's just like, yeah, right there. Ha ha, ha ha. We got fucking dates.
Seriously, yeah. I thought about that too. I was like, okay. I mean,
he's like,
okay.
God damn it. Where's the rule? No, well, fuck it. Oh.
No rules at all. So yeah, they get their dates, like you said, and they enter the prom. And as they enter the prom, the band goes on break. So now they have to wait.
I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. Robin's date, whose name is Sean, offers her a flask. Robin just takes a swig of it. I'm like, okay, you're just going to trust this random dude you've never met? Okay, sure. And it's apparently cough syrup because him and his buddy bought fake IDs that said they were 20.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of funny because I'm like, well, they can at least buy cough syrup.
They can buy cough syrup. They could buy cigarettes if they wanted to.
That's true.
Like, lottery tickets? Man. Yeah, lottery tickets.
I mean, they get the benefits of a few of the things.
That's true. I love the comment that Robin makes. Nerds who are bad at math, oh, you're gonna have a rough life, guys.
Yeah. I love how, because I watched the episode twice this time, because I watched it a couple days ago when we were going to record. Yeah. And then I wanted to make sure it was fresh in my mind for tonight, so I rewatched it. And I have to say, out of the 2 dates, the kid who ends up with Robin, you said his name is Sean.
Sean, yeah.
I like him so much better than I like the curly-haired little fat dude.
That's Andrew.
Andrew. Because, like Sean's just there for the fucking experience.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, whatever, I got myself a really pretty girl for the night. I got this flask full of cough syrup.
Yeah.
I'm chill. And the other guy's like when Marshall shows up, he's like, hey, where's my fiance?
Oh,
the
that
kid's
fucking...
like, yeah. And I'm just like, first off, kid, like, you're a fucking kid.
Like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Trust me. Both times that I watched it, I was like, fuck you, dude.
Now, my secondary set of issues comes in with Sean stands there with that flask in his hand for, like, most of the episode. One, where were the chaperones? He's holding a fucking flask in his hand. Now, even if you don't assume he brought it, you'd assume his date of age brought it. And two, did security not check these kids before they went walking into a place?
Yeah, because we know that there's security. We see them a few times.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, I'm jumping ahead. Later on, we do see Ted and Marshall inside. And there's no one's rushing to get to them.
No.
You know,
no,
Barney steps in, and they're, like, right on him. But Ted and Marshall are in, and they're just like, meh. Whatever.
Yeah. And they even, like you said, not to get ahead, but they're like, oh, we came in the back door. What the fuck? Really?
Yeah.
Seriously, it was just open?
Why was there someone out there
smoking a cigarette?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. So probably that janitor we'll get there.
He made $200.
Yeah, you did. Lily goes up to the band, the lead singer of the band, and asks if they can play "Good Feelings" by the Violent Femmes. That is her and Marshall's song. He says, he's pretty drunk, but if they get him the sheet music, they'll play the song. I'm like, okay. I mean, I gotta say, they learned that song pretty fucking quickly.
Yeah, because they weren't using the sheet music when they played it.
No, they were not.
Maybe it's part of being drunk.
Yeah. So we kind of cut back over to Sean and Robin, and he asks her if she's buzzing. Are you buzzing, baby? And she's like, well, my phlegm feels a little looser. And I laughed both times I watched this. I laughed harder than I would have expected at this. I don't know why it hit me so hard.
It's a great line.
It's not just the line. It's the facial reactions from both of them.
Yeah. Well, he's just like, yeah.
And like Robin's like, yeah, I feel my phlegm's a little loose. Like she's super into it, man.
Yeah, I mean, hey, when you're chest and you can breathe, man, I get it.
It was just like, I was like, that is quality acting right there. I really enjoyed that. So then we head back to the apartment. Ted and Marshall are stuffing envelopes. Ted says he wants to go to a bar. He kind of talks about like getting into a fight. Then Marshall says, I'd have your back, man. And Ted's like, yeah, I'd have your back too. But when Ted says it, Marshall kind of like chuckles at him. And this sets up something that we see later on in the episode.
It does.
Which I'll talk more about then, because I have some thoughts on all that.
Well, one of the other things that triggered something here for me is so that they bring up this whole fight thing. And he's like, oh, I'd have your back. And Marshall's like, yeah, I wouldn't need you to have my back, but thanks.
Yeah.
And like Ted's like, but like they talk about it, like it's brief here, obviously, to later on.
Yeah, because they get interrupted.
Yeah, because I'm like, this would be a great point to have introduced like the Marshall has brothers thing. Because like he could have easily been like, like my brothers and I roughhouse.
Marshall is way more confident in his fighting ability in the first season than the rest of the show, because they make it a thing where he's never been in a fight later on.
Oh yeah,
and he doesn't want to do that. But he's like almost overly confident in his fighting skills.
I was gonna say like he was
because it comes up a couple of times throughout this first season.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, all right, Marshall, whatever you say. So like I said, they get interrupted as they're talking about this because Robin calls Marshall because she needs them to bring the sheet music down to the prom.
I thought it was weird that Robin called him though.
Yeah. I don't know what Lily was doing. I think Robin may have just realized Lily's just too freaked out about everything.
Maybe.
And so she just took it upon herself to do it. I really think. Plus, it gave the audience the whole thing about whether or not she would wants Ted to go or not.
Yeah.
Because
that part I get.
Because Marshall asks if Ted can come, and she's like, I don't think that's a good idea. After everything that happened, and in the background, Barney is trying to break into the prom through the vent. This is like Robin's on the phone, just talking, and you just see Barney coming down through the vent and like getting dragged away by the security guards, and Robin doesn't even notice. And I think that
doesn't even like hilarious. See it.
No, and I thought that was hilarious because like it's just something like they're not focusing on it. It's just in the background.
In the background.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. I loved watching that. Neil did such a good job doing that whole thing. Robin eventually says that, if Ted has to come, whatever, he can come. Not a big deal. Then Robin goes over to Lily, who looks like she's kind of freaking out a bit, which obviously she is. And she thinks that everything is moving too fast. And then we get another flashback to Scooter. Lily, this time, is saying that exact same thing to him. Things are going too fast. Scooter's all confused. She says she doesn't want to give up her freedoms yet. She has so many plans for her future, like traveling, living overseas, having a lesbian relationship, which I think is funny because it's something that becomes a running joke throughout the series.
It does.
And I also find it interesting. I'm curious if that line was brought in because of her character on Buffy, or if it was just a coincidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Either way, I always found that to be kind of interesting that they went that route. She says she does not want the pressure of everything. Because he's talking about this life together.
Yeah.
She doesn't want that pressure, and that whole thing is kind of spilling into the present day. And she apparently says it out loud in the prom. And her date's like, whoa, but you guys promised us a dance, it's just a dance.
That's the thing that confused me. They don't actually tell you if she says it out loud, but they make it seem like she did.
Yeah, I'm assuming that she did. She's like, it's too much pressure. I'm assuming that's what she said out loud. And he's like, well, it's just a dance. You know what I mean? So I guess you got to be careful when you're daydreaming, not to say things out loud. So Lily and Robin go and dance with these guys. Lily starts just kind of laying into Andrew, telling him he won't accomplish any of his goals in life that he sets out to do and all this other stuff, because she's just kind of putting her own fears and regrets and stuff on this kid.
Oh yeah, so hard.
And then Sean asks Robin if he's gonna get lucky tonight, and as Robin is telling him no, he barfs right on her. He's like,
he had a chance.
He did have a chance.
It had maybe a 40% chance, but I mean, never tell me the odds.
You have a 0.00001 chance, so there's a chance. But then we cut to Ted and Marshall, and they're entering the prom with the sheet music. They run into Barney in a turtle mascot outfit.
I fucking love it because he's like, how'd you guys get in here?
Yeah. It's like, what's it to you, turtle?
Yeah.
Because they don't know. Even though it's distinctly Barney's voice. Obviously.
To us it is. It could have been muffled or something to them.
Yeah, maybe.
They're inside of an active prom, and he's wearing a full mask.
That is true. So he tells them that, they tell him that they snuck in through the back, and then Barney says that he had to pay a janitor $200 for this costume.
Yeah, as he takes the head off.
Yeah.
And nobody notices him right away.
Nobody, yeah. Something I found interesting, though I couldn't confirm this. According to the wiki, apparently David Burtka, who plays Scooter, can be seen walking in the background as Ted and Marshall are telling Barney how they got into the prom. But I rewatched this scene alone 3 times and could not spot him. Huh. So there is one kid, one person who walks by in who has hair that looked like it could have been the Kurt Cobain Scooter hair. And maybe that was him, but it's so fast that I couldn't tell whether or not it was actually him.
Interesting.
So I'm not honestly sure, but anybody out there, if you guys have spotted him, let me know. At Last
But
Call,
what would he be doing in the
HIMYM.
background of the current prom?
I have no idea. That's why I'm like, I don't know if these guys, I don't know if this is an accurate little piece of trivia or not, because I checked and I couldn't spot him anywhere. And like I said, I watched that scene 3 times before we started recording. So I don't know.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So Marshall then randomly walks up. What I thought that was interesting is he randomly walks up to Andrew. He doesn't know that Andrew is Lily's date at this
That's
stage.
a true statement.
Yeah. So just by some huge stroke of coincidence, he walks up to Andrew and asks if he's seen Lily. Now, what if this wasn't him? What if this wasn't Andrew? And it was just some random person? They'd be like, who the fuck is Lily? You know, who the fuck are you, guy?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Because Marshall's just like, hey, have you seen my fiance Lily? Why the fuck would any of these kids actually know who she is?
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
So it seemed a little like an odd way to go about it, but I think they needed to get it done in the episode.
That's true.
So that I think that's just why they went.
I mean, they could have easily just been like Barney, been like, "Oh, that's Lily's date right there."
Yeah, they could have. Yeah, that would have actually, like you've always said, one line of dialogue.
One line of dialogue. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, quick sidebar: one line of dialogue can easily fix any situation.
It's true. It's very, very true. So, like I said, he walks up to Andrew and asks about Lily. Andrew gets real defensive. And this is kind of what you were talking a little bit about earlier.
Yeah.
He says that she's his for the night.
Yeah.
And gets all up in Marshall's face, like, shoves him.
You're a fucking high schooler, and he's a fucking, like, full-grown adult. Yeah. Like, you ain't got no chance in hell.
Yeah, and it's just like he shoves him, and then he pulls out fucking nunchucks.
Nunchucks!
Which I don't, like, there's literally a metal detector outside the door.
Yep.
How the fuck did he get in with nunchucks?
I had a gag ready to go for this, but I completely forgot to set myself up for that. Damn it.
Your nunchuckos.
No.
Oh, okay.
Fuck. Oh, well.
That happens.
I was going to have a book and be like, see this book? I ain't buying it. Like, because I'm sorry. First off, the pockets that are inside of a fucking suit coat, they're not deep enough for him to be walking around with nunchucks all night long. You would make one quick movement, and those things would have went spilling all over the floor.
Yeah.
Believable scenario would have been if he'd had them tucked into the back of his pants under his belt or something.
Yeah.
That I believed. And then you want to...
But I still can't get past the metal detector. Unless he's... I mean, because, like, we know how they got in. We watched them walk into the prom through the metal detector.
True.
So, like, it should have set it off. I'm just saying that's a shitty metal detector.
It's just there for ease of mind.
Oh, yeah. It's there to scare the kids. But, yeah, so he whips out these nunchucks, and he's like, nunchucko! And he hits Marshall.
Oh, yeah.
Nunchucks. And then Ted just lunges at him, takes him down, man.
I mean, in all fairness, I understand Marshall's like, oh, I probably can handle it. But in all fairness, Marshall was like, oh, and then stumbled like literally like 3 full steps off.
Yeah.
In Ted's defense, from standing where he was, I'd have fucking done the same thing. I'd have speared that kid to the ground too.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
And then I would have stood up and been like, how you leave me now, bitch?
Love it. So then we go over to the bathroom where Robin is cleaning herself up. She's in there with Lily, and she asks Lily if she's having second thoughts, which Lily says yes to. But it's not about Marshall. It's about her. She's having FOMO. This fear of missing out on things that she hasn't gotten the chance to do. We get a flashback to her first day of college. She's putting a stereo on a shelf and just kind of venting about what she wants in life. She doesn't want a boyfriend to tie her down. She wants to be able to travel and do all this other stuff. And the camera pans over, and it's Marshall sitting there. This is the first time that they had ever met. And she turns on the stereo, and it's the Violent Femme song. And that this is where their relationship starts.
Which, kids, if you've never watched How I Met Your Mother before, say this again. I've said it on time. Why the fuck you listening to this podcast?
It's true.
But if you've never watched the show before, this scene will come. Well, not this scene in specific, but this moment in time will come back 100 times, like Uncle Ben being shot.
That's true. Or like Bruce Wayne's parents. So true.
Needless to say, if you're a parent in a comic book, you're probably not safe.
That is also true. Yes, very much so. So Lily is feeling, like I said, like she's missing out on all that stuff that she has wanted to do since before college. And Robin says that she asks her, isn't having the love of your life and marrying the love of your life worth all of that? And then she gives her a kiss in order to give her that lesbian experience that she was talking about. And it doesn't really faze either of them. So it's obvious this is the moment that it starts kind of grinding away in Lily's head.
I mean,
she got that kiss.
More persistent later on. You are correct.
Dude, it does. It gets real. Like there are times where
Lily, because there are plenty of times where Lily's like, we could make out, Robin. That'd be stupid, right? Like, we can make out.
Dude, there are times where Lily borders on like Barney level type of creepy when it comes.
You ain't even joking.
Yeah, it gets like, whoa, Lily, what are you doing here? So then we head outside of the prom. As the guys have all been kicked out because they got into this big brawl.
Well, I mean, yeah. He assaulted a high schooler. He's like, he's not in fucking handcuffs.
Yeah, and they talk about that. You could get, you could be going to jail and all this stuff. And they try to plead with the security guards to no avail. They're not.
Marshall's like, I just need to get back in there for one song.
Yeah. No. And this is where Ted and Marshall begin arguing about whether or not Marshall needed Ted's help. And I have to say, I don't really understand why this piece of the storyline is in there. It doesn't, to me, it didn't add anything.
It didn't. And that was one of the things I thought when I watched it too. Because this is the C storyline. Yeah. And it obviously came down to that second of they had it covered as to why it's in there. But they could have left out that whole scene and had something else happen. Like just the shove even.
Well, like you could have had that discussion earlier where it's like, I would always have your back, Ted. And Ted be like, yeah, man, I would always have your back too. And then that's it. Instead of having Marshall kind of like being like, well, I wouldn't need it.
Yeah.
We cut that out and then have it happen. Ted takes out the dude, showing Ted would have his back. And then cut out the stuff of them fighting here, and it would have been like no different.
That's true. That is true.
And Marshall is acting like a complete douchebag, in my opinion, to Ted in this whole thing.
He kind of is.
It's like Ted is his best friend. Wouldn't he want him to have his back? Whether or not he could handle it himself, wouldn't he want that? Like, I know you could handle things yourself. But I don't see you being like acting like Marshall if I was like, yo, man, I'd still always have you back.
First off, no, because there's a difference between me and Marshall on this point. To the fact that I know if I'm going into a fight, you always need your back watched anyway. So fuck that. If you want to stand there and have my back, you got my back.
Exactly.
And it's like, that.
Yeah, man, of course. And it's like whether or not you can handle it yourself. I mean, anything could happen in a fight. You know what I mean?
Just remember, on the outside chance you would get into a fight, I tweaked my shoulder or something a couple weeks ago, and like it hurts when I lift it up too high. So I'll be there for you, but I don't actually know how much work I can do right now because my shoulder's a little sore.
Oh man, I think I tore a rotator cuff. I'm gonna sit this one out. It's like, you'll be good.
Hey Josh, I think I tore my rotator cuff. It hurts when I do this.
For those of you who are listening, he's turning his neck and not his arm. That's the visual. And that is the reason why you should be watching. Just saying. So Barney decides he's going to take one for the team.
Dude, does he ever?
He grabs the turtle head and just runs off, prompting the guards to chase after him. And this just allows Ted Marshall to just walk right back in.
You said Barney grabs the turtle head.
I mean, I'm not wrong though. Oh man, you guys, you can tell it is late here. We head inside, back inside the prom, and the 88. They start playing Lily and Marshall's song. They start dancing. Ted and Robin also start dancing. They finally make amends here in this season, in this episode, and we see that spark is still there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you a question.
Okay.
We've both been to live shows before. You ever asked the band to play a song for you?
I mean, I feel like there's been lots of times where we've yelled out, "Play some Kiss."
Nope. I knew you were going to bring that up.
That's happened many a time. I mean, I don't know if I have, to be honest with you.
I mean, yeah, definitely. We've definitely screamed "Play Some Kiss" at a few bands.
Yeah. Have you?
Besides those times, there was one time I was working at. It was when it was Rookies on the Lake. They brought in a band and they were playing a bunch of punk music that night, and I screamed "Play Sublime."
All right,
and they did actually. So it was actually kind of cool.
Nice,
I was like, "Go play some Sublime." And the guy goes, "Yo," he's like, "I got what you want," and he started the "What You Got," and I was like, "Hell yeah!"
Nice. That's the way to do it. So then we go outside the prom. Barney is there. You know, he somehow got away.
Somehow.
I don't know how it happened, but he did.
Know how he did it?
How do you do it?
Magician's code.
Yeah, it's true. by grabbing the turtle head. So like I said, we're outside the prom. Barney is talking to Andrew and Sean, and he's telling them a story, but we catch the very end, and he's like, and that's why you never wear jeans to a strip club.
You know, this scene here is kind of reminiscent of the scene in season 9 when he's drunk and he's walking home and he's mentoring those two kids.
Yeah.
And he hands them the stack of napkins at the end and it's the playbook.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, like
I kind of like that. We got a scene like that in season 1 and they cap it in season 9 as well.
Now here's the thing I want to know. Is there a possibility it's the same kids?
That would be kind of cool. I mean, that would be actually really cool. Especially if it was like the same actors. I'd have to go back and rewatch that to see what they even looked like, but that would be kind of awesome. But then we finish off the episode back inside. Lily agrees that the band is great, and they check it off the list. Marshall comments that it's just 2 months away. Can you believe it? And they're dancing, and you can just see all the doubt and panic bubbling up inside Lily as this episode comes to an end, and we fade to black and go to the credits. And this is where it all starts. You know, we've talked about it before, where that split begins.
Yep.
And this is where it starts, and it culminates over the next 2 episodes. It's something that it tears me apart every time, and I'm sure once we get there, we'll talk about that. But that was the episode, season 1, episode 20, the best prom ever. So, John, what were your final thoughts on this episode?
Well, let's see if I can replicate my thoughts from when me and you were talking before we went on the air. It was the best prom ever. Lily and Marshall tried to book a band. Remember when Ted and Marshall were in that fight with those 2 kids that were douches? It was. I'm done. I can't. That wasn't bad, but for those of you listening, leave us a comment and let us know what you think. Was it a good song, or do I got a number 1 on my hands?
At Last Call HIMYM. Please do not give us a 1-star review because of that. I would be very upset.
I will say I think this is a good episode. I love that. Like I said, this is one of the first times where all the storylines run parallel with one another.
Yeah,
not like oh, one's here, one's there, and one's here. They're all working with the same premise except for the beginning of Marshall and Ted.
Yeah,
but then it's like everybody's trying to get into the prom and everybody's trying to do shit. And there's reasons for being at the prom. And then, we're finally getting the reconciliation between Ted and Robin. And, Barney grabs the turtle head. And
yes, he does.
But,
yes,
it's a good episode. I'm really sad that in the next 2 episodes, we're going to see the unraveling of Marshall and Lily for almost like a season and a half.
Yeah, it's
the worst part of the show. Because I love Marshall and Lily.
And I think that's probably a big reason why you tend to not watch season 1.
Yep.
Because you know what it leads to.
Yeah,
I get it. I totally get that.
Dude, it hurts. It's kind of like not to go jumping so far ahead, but it's what we do anyway. It's like watching the episode with Marshall's dad dying.
Yeah.
Well, I learned from watching a video one time. There's a countdown in the episode.
Yeah.
Starts at the number 50, and the numbers keep going down to 1. And as Lily gets out of the cab at the very end, it's number 00, and it goes out. And when she gets out, she gives him the bad news. And
oh man,
it fucking wrecks me. And then I found out on top of the countdown that he didn't know what Allison Hannigan was going to say when she got out of the cab.
Oh, really?
All he knew was she was going to get out and deliver her line of dialogue. So he's literally like, hey, Lily, guess what? I've got this great news. And she's like, Marshall, something happened.
Yeah.
That's
wild.
He
that's
died.
wild, man. That's like a real reaction.
That's a real reaction from fucking Jason Segel.
Man.
And
I look forward to and dread talking about that episode. Because I don't know. I feel like I might start crying on air as we talk about it. I don't know. Because I cry every time I watch that episode.
Dude, it's such a hard episode.
Yeah, it is. It is. It really is. But that is the episode. We always like to do a little segment at the end of the show that we call Barney's Blog. Suit up, bitches. Or maybe this time, slut up, bitches.
Slut up, bitches.
Yeah, so for the last 3 weeks, we haven't had any specific blogs tied to the episodes, but we are finally back to a episode specific blog entry, and this one was dated, where is it, Tuesday, February 14th of 2006, so on Valentine's Day, which is interesting, at 11:30 a.m., so it was in the morning of Valentine's Day, and it's titled, when should you wear jeans to a strip club, ... Never. So Barney, he starts it off saying, whenever I visit a gentleman's club, I always consult my pre-strip checklist beforehand to maximize both my enjoyment and my overall value. Because if there's anything more exhilarating than an erotic dancer's pom-poms in your face, it's knowing that you got your money's worth. And he gives these 3 things that you need to check off before you go. It says converted sufficient currency to singles. That's always important. Hide ATM/credit cards deep in wallet, yet still accessible in case of rare twins scenario. And cleverly planted fake movie producer business cards on person where they might accidentally, in quotes, fall out into dancer's bra. And then he says, while these 3 checkpoints apply to his own burlesque patronage, he suspects there's one more basic precaution that most of you will forget as you giddily prepare for a magical night of dancing nipples. And he says, jeans. Never, I repeat, never wear jeans to a strip club. And then he gives his 9 reasons why you should never wear jeans to a strip club. So, here we go.
Okay, so hold on. Before you dive into the 9 reasons, without incriminating yourself too much, have you ever been to a gentleman's club?
Yes.
Have you ever worn jeans?
I mean, you already knew the answer to that.
Listen, I said I was trying not to incriminate you, you asshole. I honestly
am not sure if I've ever worn jeans, but I wouldn't be surprised if I have.
Worn jeans, at least me. I know I've worn jeans every time because I typically don't wear other pants.
That's true.
unless it's like my work pants.
Yeah.
But I think I would go home and change before I went out in my work pants.
Fair enough. Well, John, I'm about to give you 9 reasons why you need to stop doing that.
Well, let's see if you can change your mind.
All right. Number 9. Cloth pockets are roomier, more elastic, and allow for a thicker wad of cash. Okay. I mean, that's true. Jean pockets are real tight.
They are.
You know what I mean? So that's definitely true. Denim clashes with a club's leopard, zebra, or other safari animal motif. The strip clubs I've been to have not had themes like that.
Neither have I.
That doesn't really matter for me. Number 7, unless the gentleman's club is in your living room, you'll be going out to view these ladies, and thus should be suiting up anyway.
Okay.
I mean, it's Barney. He always says suit up anyway. So yeah, okay.
He does.
Makes sense. Number 6, jeans remind dancers of their ostensibly disenfranchised lower tier socioeconomic upbringing that has propelled them toward their unhappy proletarian existence, mitigated only marginally by the delightfully tawdry strobe-lit arena of the burlesque club. Okay. So in other words, he's saying that it reminds them that they're poor and why they had to become strippers. That's essentially what he's saying.
That's true, but not true at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Because it's also like kind of putting all strippers in the same box.
I was going to say, you and I have met a couple of dancers who were not there just for entertainment. Like, do you remember Jordan?
Yeah. It's what they enjoyed to do.
I was going to say, Jordan enjoyed dancing, and she was a school teacher by day.
Yeah, they had careers outside of it. It's just something that they enjoyed to do. I'm like, okay, so be it. Number 5, jeans remind dancers of your ostensibly disenfranchised lower tier socioeconomic and all that stuff.
Fair.
So it makes them think that you're the poor guy. Number 4, 1 word, 2 syllables, 3 hours in the ER, zipper.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Number 3, jeans make my legs look skinny.
Well, I mean, he does have very skinny legs.
He does. He probably also wears skinnier jeans. Like, I sure as fuck don't wear skinny jeans.
No, I usually do relaxed fit, but I get
relaxed fit with like a wide leg. I dig that. That's my jam. But I get it. I get what he's going for. Number 2, it's a performance and deserves respect. These erotic dancers have practiced tirelessly on a technically demanding piece of choreographed art. Would you wear dungarees to a ballet? Sorry, trick question. Unless you're into dudes displaying their pressed fruits, you don't watch ballet. So the answer is still no. Trick question withdrawn. I kind of wish he had wrote lawyered in there. It would have been hilarious. And then number 1, you don't feel it as much on your kazoo.
See, and that's the biggest thing that I could see being a number 1 answer.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I mean, that makes sense though.
Has your mind been swayed at all?
Swayed. You fucking kill me, bro. I would consider maybe going out in a nice pair of cords or khakis.
No sweatpants for you?
Dude, you never wear sweatpants. I don't fucking care if you're walking from your house to your mailbox. No sweatpants.
What if they're like fancy sweatpants?
No.
What about gym shorts?
Only if you want to look even more white trash than Barney says you look in jeans.
What about track pants?
Are you a drug mule?
Maybe. I mean, hey, who knows? I get a whole
is Too Low Josh coming to visit?
A whole tracksuit, Dead Dad Pass. Different show, but still funny nonetheless.
Oh.
I guess you just got to find. How about this? You get slacks, right? But you get them altered to where it's like it doesn't have a zipper. So you take the zipper out.
Velcro.
And it's like no, not even Velcro, because like that could scratch. It just doesn't have a front, but it's got an elastic waistband. But they still look like slacks, so you still look like you're styling.
Fair enough.
Just saying, man. Got to think about it, right?
Oh man.
Well, that, folks, is episode 20 of Last Call at McLaren's, a How I Met Your Mother podcast. I, again, am Josh Rayner, here with my best bud, John. John, tell them where they can find you.
Well, I mean, if you want to find me over here, right there, at Simply Sane J1 on Twitter, which goes along with my podcast, which is called Simply Sane with Jay, the Not Your Mama's podcast. And don't forget, there is a link to that, or a link on that goes along with my blog. That's right, Johnny's blog.
Though that's not the name of it.
No. The blog is also called Simply Sane with Jay. It's where I can get deep and personal and talk about shit and not almost cry recording my podcast. So that's always nice. Which I got to get another episode of my podcast recorded because I've been slacking on that.
It's true.
Josh, let me guess. Ooh, they can find you at JP Rayner. That's JPRAYNOR on Twitter.
Well done, sir.
I knew I'd get it sooner or later.
20 episodes in.
20 episodes in, and I finally get it right. I only practiced that for like 2.5 hours.
That's right, folks. You can find me there or right down here at Movie Blog Merc. That is the Twitter page for my site, Merc with the Movie Blog, where I talk about all kinds of movies and whatnot. Me and this guy, where is he? There he is. Just did a trailer reaction for the new Scream movie for
damn straight we did.
The 5th one. Go check that out. It was a good time talking about Scream and watching that trailer with you.
He's had me doing more trailer reviews with him. This is the third one.
Hell's yeah, man! It's good stuff, and I'm gonna have you on for some actual reviews soon. It's gonna be good.
Nice.
It's gonna be good. But you can check me out there. You can check me out on DC Comics News. That's at DC Comics News on all the social medias, as well as DCComicsNews.com. Check out all of our fandom coverage there and a big live stream that I just did before I recorded this. So check that out. And you can check us out on our wrestling show called Off the Ropes with John and Josh. That's on Twitter at Off the Ropes JJ. Check us out. It's good stuff. Damn good stuff. Yeah, right there. Well, that about wraps up everything for this episode, John. What do you got for them?
People, you don't have to go home, but you can't listen here.
That's right. Catch you guys next time.